right, guys, we are back for our next installment of our sample board series. Today we're going to do two different boards. It'll actually be two separate videos. But this one right here, we're going to kind of play on what we did on the first video of this series, where we did a black with a very muted vein. This time we're going to do black with a very bold vein. It's pretty much the same process. We're just going to use a lot more color and a lot brighter color for our vein. So once again, we've got our 3 ounces per square foot of our black. Going to get that on our board. We're going to use our hand to spread it out. You're going to see me, I'm going to start going faster and faster in these videos, because hopefully you're watching all the videos and not just individual ones. So I don't have to take time to explain every single detail of everything that we do. So just know, if you have a question or something that I don't cover in this, if you watch all the videos of this series, most of your questions will get covered in those. Okay. So now we've got all of our surface covered. We're going to go ahead and peel off our sacrificial gloves to reveal my better gloves underneath, just to make it fast, make it easy. So in our last video, I showed you how white versus black, you might use a stick or you might pour it. For this particular look, we're definitely going to pour, and we're going to pour a lot more volume than what we would if we were trying to go for something subtle. Now, if you want to make a very wide vein, which I don't really want to go super wide because this is just a sample board, but say if you had a big island and you wanted to make a really bold vein, instead of just really pouring a super heavy vein, I recommend putting multiple lines kind of parallel to each other to help widen that out. It just makes your job a little bit easier to spread it out. We're going to put a little bit of red out here in the field. Remember, the black swallows your color a lot. So if I was doing this in white, I wouldn't put anywhere near this much color in here. But with black, you always need to put a pretty significant amount. So we're going to take some white spray paint, and we're going to add some color. So versus the other one, I want a decent amount of white in this one. So all I'm doing at this point is just trying to get all the white onto the piece that I want. I'm not really working this white in yet. I just want to get the volume of paint that I'm looking for onto the surface. Okay, that covers the white. So before I move to my next color, I'm going to wipe that off. Actually, we're going to wait. We're going to put some metallic gold in there, but we're going to wait on that until after we move some of this color around. So now that I've cleaned off the stick, we're going to start manipulating our wine red metallic and our white spray paint. Spread it out. Getting it laid out how we're looking. You know, there is no right or wrong way. There is no perfect vein size. There is no perfect vein layout. It really is just kind of, every one of them is going to turn out different, even if you try to make them exactly the same. So just have an idea in your head on what you're looking for, and then just go get it. Okay, so with this stick, I could also use my hand. So if I had a very big project and I was a little bit worried about not having enough time to get this finished, instead of using the stick to do this, I could use my fingers. It is faster. It is a slightly different look, but it's just because the lines won't be quite as tight as they are if we use the stick. So one thing that I always caution people whenever we're in class is make sure when you're moving the stick that you're not creating arcs. Most people will want to keep their elbow close to their side and then they'll move their hand, which creates arcs in the stick. You don't want arcs. They don't have to be perfectly straight, but you don't want arcs. Okay. Just about got it all spread out, kind of how we're looking for. So the technique is essentially exactly the same as we did on part 1 of this series. We're just using a lot more color and a light brighter color. So now we're going to add our gold metallic spray paint. Once again, I'm just trying to drop off the spray paint. I'm not really moving it yet. I'm just getting it into the piece where I want it. Okay, so out here in the field, I want to do much smaller areas. Okay. Always, 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 whenever you're adding color, before you start manipulating the color, always wipe that stick off so you don't add more paint than what you want onto your piece. So with metallic spray paints, whether it's gold or chrome, they have a tendency to really draw back on themselves. They don't spread out as easily as some of the other paint colors do. So I always say the more the merrier whenever you're running your stick through the metallic colors. Don't worry, especially in black. It may feel like you just completely got rid of all the color, but I promise you it will float back to the surface. You'll see once we hit this with our isopropyl alcohol, there'll be a significant amount of gold come back out. We just don't want blobs. We want little veins where it just looks like little streaks of 24 karat gold running through this marble. It's actually a really cool, really nice effect. So here at Counterintelligence, we've worked really hard to develop these techniques. We concentrate on 5 techniques in essence, and with those 5 techniques, you can create a multitude of different effects and stuff with those 5 techniques, but they're repeatable. Anybody can do it. You could teach your grandmother how to do these if you need help on a job one day. So we're gonna use the same 5 techniques on all of these samples, and we're just going to show you all the different effects that you can get from those techniques. So now that we've got our vein laid out the way we want it, we've got the color that we want into the piece, now it's just time to hit it with our isopropyl. Once again, we're just barely hitting that trigger. We want big drops and little drops. We want a little variation. Now you can see just the depth that the isopropyl gives. The metallic pigment is sitting down deep in the epoxy, and all the spray paints are sitting right on the top. So the isopropyl really fractures all the paints that are sitting on the top. It doesn't really have much effect on the metallic that is sitting down deeper into the epoxy. So it gives it a lot of depth. So now this is just about babysitting your edges. Whenever you come into class, we're going to teach you the proper technique on how to keep your edges looking good all the way through the process. It's a little bit different at the beginning of the pour versus late in the pour. We're going to teach you all that stuff. So if you've already been to class and you already know that, just use your techniques, keep your faces and your edges looking good. If you're yet to come to class, just know that we're going to teach you from start to finish how to make every job perfect before it leaves your shop. So we will see you tomorrow.